I use the pronoun she, her. I am the founder of Jenny Bean Consultancies, which confuses everyone, and most people think my name is Jenny. If you have called me Jenny previously or continue to call me Jenny, I am not offended in any way. For anyone looking to set up a business, do not name it after your child that's the same gender as you. Otherwise, you will forevermore be known as that name. But honestly, I don't mind if you call me the nappy lady, the sling lady. I get called all manner of things, so I will normally reply. I'm also more than happy for you to throw questions at me as I go, or if there's anything that you kind of think, not comfortable with that, just let me know. Absolutely fine with me. I'm quite a kind of go with the flow kind of person. So as aforementioned, I run the local Nappy Library. Now, Nappy Libraries have been around for a very long time. I do quite often have people say, wow, you came up with this great idea. I'd love to lie and say, yes, I came up with it, but it's very much not. Actually, the Nappy Library from the area, I think, is in the region of 35 years old. I've had people contact me and say my parents used it. So that's been quite an interesting journey. It's changed hands a number of times within its life. It moved to Aylesbury for a short period and it's come back this way, and it's done all the rounds. So it has been around for quite a while. So it's quite a privilege to have such a kind of fundamental bit of history. Well, yes, I've been teaching my daughter about the toys I played with. Apparently it is history. So it's kind of gone round. So there's bits and bobs there. We've still got some bags from when it originally opened that have all sorts of imagery on there. But a lot of what we do is actually breaking down what people see as being cloth nappies. Lots of people kind of go, oh, I can't use cloth nappies because they're the big terries and you have to boil them for ages and you have to put them in sanitizer and you have to do this, that and the other. So what I always like to start off with is showing you what a cloth nappy looks like. So I actually have a few behind me. If I lower my camera, let's choose a really pretty one. Oh, and I've just knocked the entire pile over, so that's a good start. So cloth nappies are actually really attractive now. So this is one here. This is actually a Halloween print. They are very, very easy to use. They pretty much look like their disposable counterparts. So this one here has got your tab, your Velcro tabs. It's just unlike the ones that you throw in the dustbin. These ones will keep going back and forth over and over. Or you can even go to poppers. Now, this fixes a big problem that a lot of parents face and think there's no fixing solution: when your child learns to take their nappy off. Now, lots of people, especially those who have used disposable nappies, will have been through the experience of their child thinking, I will help mother today by removing my pants for them. And then you have this whole disaster going behind you. Easy fix, let's popper it up, much harder to open. So I can solve a lot of problems in one hit. So we do have, there's different options on how you do it up. Of course, you can use the old muslin styles if you want to. They are actually coming back into fashion in the last year. It's really interesting. Lots of people are going for those because they like to be able to fold them up, and there's different pleats you can do and different sets of origami and things if you want to get fancy. Some people like it, some people don't. They are coming back round again because you can use them. They're a little bit more adaptable, whereas these ones you have to get sizing to a degree. But they're really, really pretty, and they are becoming very fashionable because of Instagram and our kind of very visual media that we're seeing now. Facebook is kind of apparently starting to fade out because it's less visual than things like Instagram, and this looks a lot more attractive than if you have a plain white nappy or a nappy that's a disposable that gets heavy between their legs. These hold shape, they don't misshapen while the child's wearing them. So we are seeing as well a massive emergence of, oh wow, this is really cool, look at this print. There is a collector's kind of side to it. So believe it or not, these nappies are highly desirable, some of them. This one in particular is desirable to me. So this one here is called Albert. I'm sure you can work out why. And my youngest is called Albert, and therefore I can't get rid of it because it's very, very sad, but I hope that I can give it to him for him to use for his children one day. He'll probably be like, Mum, these have moved on. But that's the hope. but some of the nappies go second hand. If you have the right print by the manufacturer, I have seen a single nappy go for £127. So they are highly, highly desirable, and they are selling second hand, which is great because they are not being retired until they are threads. There is even a big post on one of the groups saying about, oh, look at this nappy, I'm still using it, and it is literally threads hanging off, and they're like, no, I shall persevere. So there's kind of that kind of camaraderie going on there. So these are getting really used. From the Nappy Library side of things, obviously they get used through family after family after family, so it kind of dropping the carbon footprint of the manufacturer of them. As much as we do try to stick to brands that have got the least amount of shipping, and I do like travel between the nappies. Unfortunately, one of the biggest brands that's really popular actually comes from Canada, so that has obviously got that extra flight miles. It is being cut down. The UK, unfortunately, are not very good at making fabric, so our fabric industry was killed off quite a while ago, and so unfortunately our fabric is more expensive, so our nappies tend to be a little bit more expensive, which is really hard. But we all know if you keep buying, that means that industry will be able to get their prices down, because they'll be able to, and hopefully we can bring some of that kind of fabric industry back where it belongs. The other thing we're seeing with the nappy industry as well is that a lot of them are starting to use recycled plastics. So do I have a nappy? Let me see. Bingo. So these nappies, I don't know if you can hear from the thing, so they've got a squeak to them. So they're actually laminated fabric. So the old nappies, which you kind of probably remember having the really crunchy plastic outside, they were PVC lined. These are actually PUL, which is a slightly different lamination process to the nappy to make them softer and more breathable. And that's why you see lower rates of nappy rash with them as well. But they're starting to now make that out of recycled products, and that's trying to drop down as well. Some people are looking at alternatives. Unfortunately, some of the alternatives have got kind of that love-hate thing going on. Do we go for something that is plastic but will last a little bit longer, or you can use products like wool, but then you have the issue of the animal issues coming in there. And then there's also talks of should we be using microfibers, which last a bit better than the PUL, but they then shed. So there's a little bit of kind of toing and froing and working out what's going to kind of work best for you. Bamboo is a hugely popular product when it comes to nappies, as is hemp, which is really great because it's very easy to produce, doesn't need all the pesticides and such forth. And the really good news, it's the most absorbent option, so it's absolutely perfect. So every time everyone's like looking at it like, I don't know, you want to go for the hemp and you want to go for the bamboo. It is that bit more expensive because unfortunately the cotton industry has got that little bit of, they're just mass produced. So but slowly we'll get there and change over, but lots of the nappies now contain bamboo. So this is bamboo, this is a bamboo nappy, and they are kind of getting there and slowly swapping over, and the demand is coming up, and we all know that demand will lead to things coming through eventually. But there's lots of fun to be had with nappies. These ones I have in front of me are, I'd like to do birth to potty. Now, when we say birth, apparently that means £10 up. So, ouch. And not many babies are born £10 up. You do have to be very aware of marketing does come into this a little bit, which I'm sure we're all kind of aware of, marketing and essentially wanting to sell your product. They do expand. So if you can see here, I have a set of poppers down the front. For a smaller child, I can fold the nappy and clip, and then it's going to fit a smaller child, and then you can unpopper them and pop them up as you go. Now below this, the issue with the newborn is that they grow so fast. I'm really sorry if you can hear my children screaming behind me. The problem with the newborn is that a newborn baby grows so rapidly in the first 3 months of life. Is the fastest period that it grows, that having a newborn nappy is very difficult, because that growth period is so rapid, and so it is a product that will not be used for very long. And this again is where the nappy libraries can come in, because lots of people, I do try to encourage, which I don't tell any of the people that I buy from, other manufacturers I do this, is to say, don't buy them, just hold out until they are up to that weight where you can go for the birth to potty, because then you've got a product that's going to last you a lot longer. And the ones that do purchase, I try to encourage them to go second hand, because I'm really sorry, I'm about to be joined by my daughter. I'm very sorry. What happened? I'm so sorry. Sibling love, and my husband's stuck at work. I'm talking about nappies.
Don't worry about it, Jodie. I still get the same with my 12 and 13-year-old.
Well, this is Jenny. Jenny's 6. So this is who it's named after, who my inspiration for all my work is. Who's very happy at the moment. Her brother hit her in the head. You're right. You've had a busy day. This is one of those things where it ends up on YouTube, isn't it? Hello, Albert. So these are my 2 children. One is slightly happier than the other. Jenny, is it all right if I talk to everybody? Do you want to help me? Could you help me? I'm sorry, Albert's trying to feed as well. Okay, thank you. Right, come on then. Okay, so I am a breastfeeding mum, and Albert does help himself from time to time.
It's all good.
So life happens. I am a mum. Yeah, so nappies are really great. Obviously, there is another option for nappies, which is even better for the environment, and that is not to use them. And this can be quite a kind of like, you what? EC, or elimination communication, is a very active choice for not using disposable nappies, or not using nappies at all. And of course, this is the most cost effective and greenest option that we have out there. Babies from newborn do have toiletry cues, and kind of learning those cues can really help you. Now, some parents do a mix of both. One of our volunteers who runs the Aylesbury side of things for me, Leanne, she actually does elimination communication just for poops, because she can't be bothered to deal with the poop. So she has learned the cues of her baby, and when he needs to poop, she pops him on the toilet. Now, lots of people think, oh, no one does this. It is huge in Japan and China, which is, has anyone got Wish? Or has the Wish adverts pop up on their phone? So Wish is a really weird company that sell the most bizarre things that you never thought you needed, and probably don't need. And including on those, they quite often showed images of children in salopette trousers, which is kind of like the old cowboys, but they're actually joined together. So the idea is you can pull them apart very rapidly to get that poo or wee out. And this is quite a good one for me to say, well, that's because elimination communication in that community is just what people do, and it is completely viable option for families. It's very interesting. There's lots of writings about it. I've met lots of people who have successfully done it. It's just having that extra little thing of learning that when my baby twitches his toes is quite a common one for needing to go to the toilet, and then they'll take them to the toilet, and they'll be able to learn when they're about to urinate or when they're about to defecate, and it just works for them. And that obviously skips a whole realm of learning and gets you straight kind of ahead, and it's quite cool for a party trick as well. Look what my kid does. I did toilet train my cats at one point in time, so all things are possible. It was also quite funny when people came round and the cat sat on the toilet. I know. You got it? There we go. So there's lots of kind of aspects to nappies, and how kind of conscious you want to be to how you purchase, how aware you want to be. Make sure you sell them on, make sure you look after them. When it comes to washing, this is a really hot topic, is washing. There are lots of different arguments, and there are like almost cult followings you wouldn't believe just for the washing routines. So there is the clean cloth, CCN, clean cloth nappies, I think they're called. Now you have to pay to join up, from what I understand. I haven't done it myself, to get their cleaning routine. Now their cleaning routine involves a lot of bleach and is not great for the nappies. They will deteriorate very, very quickly. So I do try and kind of steer people away from that option. We don't need to bleach our nappies. It's not something that needs to happen. We have the sun. It does a pretty good job. Just pop them outside. You do not need to boil wash them. They go on your regular 40. Maybe if they've had their immunizations, I'd pop them a little bit higher, just for those couple of, the live immunization poops, just to kill off anything going on there. But generally, you just wash them as normal. If you are a breastfeeding or chest feeding parent, then before weaning, I should say, sorry, before they've got to the food stage, you can even pop those poops in with your normal washing, because they just come straight out. It's only formula and post weaning you need to kind of help it out a little bit, because it's just a little bit heavier than breast milk is, and a little bit heavier. Yeah, some of the other poops we don't want to deal with. We do want to get them down the toilet though, apart from breast milk, which you don't need to. This is quite an interesting one as well. Did you know that even with your disposable nappies, you're supposed to put the poop down the toilet? It is not meant to stay in the nappy itself. It is meant to go through our sewage system, because our sewage systems are designed to deal with poop and wee. Our bins are not designed to deal with it. It's not meant to go to landfill. That's not where poop belongs. Poop shouldn't be going into landfill. So this is quite an interesting one as well. So if you actually look on, you have to look for it, because obviously they don't push it forwards, but the disposable nappies will tell you to put the poop down the toilet first. So that is something to be aware of, but that kind of goes with it. Trying to think, I think that's kind of the nappy side of things. There's loads of different bits. You can really fall down the rabbit hole, and people get really addicted to it, like I say, and you can have a lot of fun. Just look after them, don't boil wash them, you don't need to. The most unecological part of it is that you need high water, and that is unfortunate. You need more water, and that's because they soak up water, so it needs enough water to push it back through. So that is where you get slightly slightly downhill from the environmental factors. There are a lot of studies which some people throw at me and go, it's not better for the environment to use reusable than it is disposable. A lot of these research papers were done by certain industries, and that's where you have to be really careful with these researchers. Look at who did them and think, why did they want this done? And that is also interesting. Also, the thing that's quite often not taken into account is how much water it takes to create the amount of cotton and products there in the disposable nappy. It's not taken into account the child having it for, or being used for more than one child. It quite often isn't taken into account in the data as well. So there's lots of kind of to and fro, but just be really aware of what you're reading and why it's been written. As with most things, we know that there's kind of a business side of it. There's a reason they're writing it, and the famous saying, if it's for free, you're the product. And so they are going to be writing these for a reason, because they want to achieve something. So just be very, very aware of what you are reading, which comes into a lot of stuff with parenting. There are so many products out there that you have to be so aware of, why is this product available to me? All the products you are being sold as a parent are actually sold to you, because your child isn't the one buying it. So always bear that in mind and think, okay, this product's being sold to me, not my child. Now, how is it benefiting me? Are all the USPs, the unique selling points that are being listed, now are all of these something that I actually need? And that's something to be really, really aware of. They add USPs on, and they add things to products that you just don't need. There's lots of things that are designed and called essentials that you just don't really need. Essentially, when you have a baby, you don't really need nappies, because you can use EC. You don't need bottles, because we come with some attached. Lots of people fall down that trap of saying, well, I'm about to have a baby, what if breastfeeding doesn't work for me? Again, that's probably another topic that I can possibly go on to, but it's actually only 5% of the population who cannot breastfeed. The rest of it is where people have been let down by the support that's available, and unfortunately it depends on where you live. As we all know, that good old postcode lottery going out there depends on where you're going to get that support, and an element of it is going to come down to paying for it in some places to get the support you need. So the breastfeeding thing is a whole nother but that can obviously cut out a lot of environmental factors. And then you're looking at products that are being sold to you with bottle feeding, which be another thing to be aware of. This is really interesting when it comes to feeding. In the UK we are protected, so all parents with children under 6 months are not legally allowed to have any product that sells formula milk or formula feeding. So this includes teats, bottles, prep machines, anything like that. Anything to do with breastfeeding is not legally allowed to be marketed at any child under 6 months, which is why you never see an advert, or you should never see an advert for formula for a child under that age. This is also why stage 2 formula milk exists, because they can advertise it. They cannot advertise Formula 1. There is no difference between the two. The other thing that is available is size 2 teats. You do not need to move on and buy size 2 teats. They're exactly the same. It's just got a bigger hole. No difference. It's because they're allowed to legally advertise it. So just be really aware of what your products are out there and why they are out there. Another thing to be aware of is that formula is heavily kind of regulated in this country, and they're all pretty much the same. So you can buy the store-bought one, or you can buy the really expensive one that your friend around the corner uses, but they will have the same varied pretty much the same thing inside the pot, and that is because it is regulated. The other thing to be aware of is how much of these products actually exist at the end of it. So a lot of the vitamins and minerals that you're sold that are inside these products actually get killed in the sterilization process, which you must do. So you must add it must be boiling water that hits the powder, because the powder needs sterilizing. So this is something else. So this is something to bear in mind when looking at some of these prep machines, which give you a bottle that's a perfect temperature. Be very, very aware that that product has not hit the boiling temperature. Okay, so the powder is being sterilized. So a lot of these vitamins and things that we're being sold actually don't have any benefits. And this also comes with the products that we're being sold as well. So having certain things to help your child sit upwards is also very detrimental to their development, but something we're told we need to do. Lots of the media has a huge effect. So I run the Sling Library as well, and that has a huge effect on what people choose, especially when it comes to what positions they carry their children in. And the media's had a massive impact, where they always have the child facing outwards or in a position where you can see their face. Now this is completely unnatural to how we carry, because it's uncomfortable, it pulls on your back. If you carry a baby in arms, it's not very common that you walk around with them dangling forwards, because it hurts your back. But if you go to the media, it's all there. So that's also something to be really, really aware of as well. You really don't need much to have the child. You don't need all the stuff. The best toys are the blank toys. If you look into Montessori education, it's all having very open play. So you're far better off buying, oh, he's fallen asleep. You're far better off buying a peg doll with no face, no paint, nothing there. So your child can engage a lot more, because that single toy can be a dog, it can be a mouse, it can be a person, and you'll have a much wider dialogue that you can actually introduce, as opposed to all these battery things that will tell them how they have to engage with that toy. So you're already closing off the possibilities that you have to engage with your family. And you don't need to have the peg doll. If you are any good at whittling, they're quite easy to produce yourself. You can make dolls. I mean, how much more fun is that, to go out with your parents, get some sticks and let's make a doll and have a bit of fun here. So again, you just do not need to have everything that sorry, you started rolling off. So you do not need to have all of these products. So it's really hard not to be pressurized, especially when you're in your antenatal groups and they've got this and they've got this and they've got this, and we need to have these because everyone else has them. But sometimes it's nice to kind of stand back and go, I don't have those, I don't have that, I have this. And it can be a lot more exciting that way. Or I created this, I made this happen. And there's loads of groups out there that are talking about this. You can find there's specific festivals, yeah, this is funny, isn't it, festivals that we all go through that have these kind of ethoses as well. Yes, Amy.
Mama, this is a little table I cut out.
Thank you very much. I'm being handed a green love heart, so thank you. Anyway, I've been talking a lot. I can see someone's, unfortunately, my chat has made everything really big and I can only see things one word at a time. Jodie, can you tell us how you are saving the environment? How
basic questions for me, Jodie. Do you want me to put them to you?
Yeah. The
Okay,
nappy landfill thing.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, I mean, have you any sort of figures on, you know, what we're saving? So if we use the nappies we're introducing, how many disposable nappies are we preventing going to landfill? You know, how much carbon might we be saving? What quantities are we saving?
Fab. Let me have a quick the Nappy Lady, has got huge amounts of information regarding all the statistics. It's almost nappy heaven, nappy hell when it comes to her, because if you want to know it, it is there, but because it's a lot of stuff ultimately. There's a fantastic image of how many nappies you need. So you would need between 23-25 nappies to full-time cloth. The average child will go through at birth 10 nappies a day. So it removes a huge amount. A nappy will last 600 years, which means if Shakespeare was in nappies, they would still exist. And that's quite scary. So every nappy that was put on your backside, unless it was incinerated, is still in the world. So somewhere out there, your poop is holding on in there. Let me have a see if I can find the actual statistics for it. Brilliant. Of course, you're not going to find it. Yeah, so the Nappy Lady has also got all of the contradicting and information is there as well. Sorry, I'm just no, I can't bring them up at the moment. That's just typical, isn't it? But the Nappy Lady would give you all the statistics. If you looked it on her thing, it will, apart from when I need it, come up there. But yes, you need a very small quantity in comparison to the disposable counterpart, and literally the size amount is huge. There's a fantastic infographic as well that's out there which shows them side by side. I think a museum did it, and they had all of the disposable nappies a child uses within their lifetime, and then the 25 that you could use to cloth. But again, we're looking at that being used for one child. So if we take that again and multiply it by 3, 4, or however many children, thank you, then you're also increasing the pile of your disposables and decreasing as you go as well. The other aspect of it, of course, is cloth wipes as well, which I forgot to mention. Cloth wipes have been the biggest thing that I've kind of gone, wow, this is amazing. And my husband so my son was in special care baby unit, so I've actually clothed a bum in NICU as well. So it's something not many people can say they've done. I did turn our space at the hospital into a laundrette, but we did it. And cloth wipes are a huge change, and it's something that I think is a gateway drug as well, because you start on the cloth wipes with your baby and suddenly you're using cloth for yourself and you're completely swapping over. So all your kitchen roll and things go straight out the window, because you suddenly realize, why am I doing this? It's so much harder to use all these wet wipes. I got my mother-in-law her own set this year for Christmas, and you know, the difference is unbelievable. For a parent who's used disposable wet wipes and you have to use the whole pack because they've punamied up their back, yeah, disgusting. With a cloth wipe you would use 2, because it actually picks up the poop, especially when we're using something with like a terry towel, because it grips the poop. So when you're wiping, you're not smearing, you're actually removing it. So my husband had to use the disposable wipes, and he actually turned around and goes, "What is this?" It doesn't work. And it's so funny because everyone thinks it's easier or it's going to be better, and it's just not. If anyone's going to make a change, get rid of the wipes. They are rubbish. You'll never ever regret swapping to cloth wipes, and you can make them yourself. You don't have to buy them. The only thing with terry is you'd have to hem it, because it will come off in bits if you're not careful. But they're brilliant. So it keeps reducing that.
Hi Jodie, I can see that Bo has actually put a hand up to ask a question. So Bo, why don't you unmute yourself and ask a question? And in fact, if you're happy, Jodie, I think this is probably, with quite a few mums on the talk, better if actually we let people put their videos and things on and just have a conversation now. So if people would like to put their videos back on and that sort of thing, and then ask questions as we go along, that's fine. But go ahead, Bo.
Hello, hi, thank you very much for all this useful information. Sorry, I just maybe missed it a little bit, but like in terms of like cleaning, I'm very keen to use this kind of nappies just because of the environmental reasons. But as you said, like the scary part for me is the cleaning, and like whether it's a nightmare. Can you talk a little bit more about like that and how you deal? I know there's different ways with different nappies, but like is it really clean after you do the washing machine? And like do you like worry for the other washing afterwards? And I don't know, like, do you have to wait for the 20 or 10 15 nappies to be dirty before you start the machine? Obviously also has impact on how often you start the machine, all of that. Just if you could add a bit to that, because for me it's the scary part.
Yeah, and that's really, really common. That's really normal. I mean, it makes me laugh because everyone says to me, "Oh, you have so much more washing," and then I watch their baby poop up their back and they have to wash all their clothes. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to do that, because cloth nappies have got a bit of elastic across the back. So this is quite a big thing that people don't know. People who have cloth nappies do not have punamis. We do not have that over the head poop where you go, "What? You're defying gravity." We don't get them because that small bit of elastic, and they fit, whereas disposables do not fit. So we don't have leaks like you do in disposables. So for the amount of poop you clear up off of clothes, you're probably going to be clearing up a similar amount of poop from nappies. As I was saying, if you're breastfeeding, the poop's very, very loose, so you can just put it in your normal wash. People who use cloth nappies and are kind of, I don't want to say part of the group, it is a bit of like you end up falling down the pothole and find loads of people, and like everyone's really fanatic about their washing machines. This is one thing you'll discover. We are all crazy about washing machines and how you care for them. So all of us have very loved and very looked after and very well maintained washing machines, because we all remind each other and we all advise each other how to do this. And this includes cleaning it on the 1st of every single month. So this is something that we do. Sorry, Bo, you just moved around my screen. So clean your washing machine on the 1st of the month. So that's an easy thing to do. We have modern washing machines, or most of us have modern washing machines, and they are very, very good at dealing with what they need to deal with. When you get to the weaning poos, or when you've got those heavier formula fed poos, we do want to try and get some of it down the toilet. So there's a couple of options. You do have, if you want to go a little bit in both fields, there are disposable liners, which are like little sheets of really thin fabric, really, really thin. Some of them advertise as being flushable. They're not. That's one of those USP issues. It's not a thing. It does not flush. Okay, it will flush, but it won't go far. So you can dispose of them. So you can lift out the liners and pop them in the bin. So that is one option. Okay, the other option is the reusable liners, which stop them staining your nappies. They're not as expensive, but you can lift them up and give them a bit of a flick to get rid of the solid poops. There's another option for the babies who like to have loose poos. This is a poo knife. A poo knife, or like a bidet, or like a douche kind of spray is very popular. But so we've got a jar underneath our toilet for scraping ultimately, and we just give it a quick scrape, put it into the washing. the kind of how you store them until they're ready to get to that point is evolving. So I'm seeing more people doing laundry baskets, so they're aerating their nappies between. Oh, sorry. They're aerating the nappies between. My preference is to use a wet bag. Throw them in the wet bag. When the wet bag's ready, you can turn the wet bag inside out, so you don't have to touch the poop. Like when people are like, I don't want to touch poop, don't touch the poop. If you're touching poop, something is going wrong. So with the bucket or something like that, wet paling is disgusting. You don't need to do it. It has no benefits apart from making poo stew, which again is really gross. So leave the poo stew out, okay? Get them into a bucket. Like I say, I like wet bags because they're soft, so you can literally just flick them inside out. Do what works for you. However, if you own a toddler, you need to have something you can lock or close, because that toddler's going in there, okay? So a good locking top dustbin is very, very useful at this point. But some people do use flip top bins, you know, the ones that so you can just throw it. See what works for you, but something around the house you've probably already got will do the job. This is so the washing itself, or waiting to make sure you've got enough. What lots of people don't realize when they're doing small washes is it doesn't actually clean your clothes any better, because of washing machines rely on friction as much as anything else. So if you're not doing a load that's at least 40, you know, mostly full, you need to be able to fit probably a ball of your hand in the top, so it's got enough to move at the same time. But if you do less than that, your clothes aren't actually getting cleaner, because they need to rub against each other. So you need a good sized wash. So having a towel, bedding, things like that to just throw in there with it. Just
Or
give
you
it.
can mix it with other things.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, pop it all in there. Especially before they get to that weaning point, it's absolutely no problem whatsoever. Beyond the weaning point, then I'd probably use like things that, like, not my clothes probably, but other than that, it can all go in there. And watch your washing powder. It's a big thing as well. It's too much washing powder being used can actually cause the nappies to stop absorbing. Fabric softener is a big no-no, which includes 2-in-1, because it waterproofs your nappies. Now, why you want the outside waterproof? You don't want the inside waterproof, or it isn't going to do anything. So no fabric softener. And powder is actually the best thing, which I've now learned powder is actually better for your washing machine as well. So
Jodie, just
sorry.
while you're on washing machines, have you heard of the eco egg? And if
Yeah.
you had, is an eco egg going to be adequate to wash them?
No, it's not recommended. It damages the nappies actually. So eco egg is one of the ones that's no. When it comes to soap nuts, there's an ethical issue with soap nuts, with how they're produced. So you're better off going for like a sustainable washing powder. So like the I would never say it right. CC, is it? CC is the refill one, and they're actually from Oxford. So really, really good for us here, because it's had minimal amount of travel time, and you can find them in most of your refill shops that are around.
Okay, we've just had a few questions. I thought I might
go.
do those for you. So Lauren has asked, have you seen an increase in the demand for cloth nappies?
Huge, massive. Last March, when all of the panic buying happened, we had to make emergency sets. So we actually asked for people to donate their old nappies, and we had people going, can I have them, because I can't get hold of nappies in the shop. So yes, for the last year it has been huge. We are partly helped by Bucks County Council, so I was messaging them quite a lot, okay, can I have some more money please. The sets cost about £350 each that we have, so they are expensive to start off with. I like to make this quite clear with the nappies are a money pit. When it comes to running a library, I make absolutely no money from it at all. £3 a week is never ever going to cover their cost. So everything we do at the Nappy Library, we are all volunteers. All of the £3 a week that you pay goes into replacing, going towards replacing them. But we don't take a wage from anything. I always like to make that clear as well.
And how does Bucks County support you?
Ultimately, when I run out of kits and I need some more, I message them going, we've hired out all of our kits at the moment, could I have some help? They do also help to cover some of our insurances as well, just so we can keep running. Like I say, you cannot make money doing this. It doesn't even cover itself.
Right. Okay. Caroline asks, do all nappy brands need liners, or are liners an optional thing?
They're an optional. So people get really confused between liners and boosters. So if you have a heavy wet, some kids just pee more and some hold their bladders and then let the whole lot out in one go. So sometimes you do need to add some layers to it. So that's boosting. It depends on your child. My son never needed to. He was quite a light wetter, but I know other children that do. The liners which catch poop, it's a personal preference. I mean, if you want to catch the poop, especially if you've got cowpole coming out of them, cowpole stains. This is stuff as well that I've learned. Cowpole's really, really staining. So you might want to put it in there just so you can sell them, especially if you've got some of those high brand ones. It's so weird talking about nappies, isn't it? The high-end nappies. You might want to protect them just so they don't lose their resale pricing. But it's a choice. If you've got a couple of kids, or you're going to pass them through your family members who don't care, then it doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Okay. Katie's asked, are you allowed to recommend any brands? I'm slightly overwhelmed and want the most absorbent ones, or are they all pretty similar? Could you talk a little bit about the bamboo inserts as well? And if I could just add a bit on that, actually, you did talk a lot about a lot of different materials. Which is your favorite one?
They all have slightly different benefits and pros and cons to them. I have written a whole piece on my website just about the different fabric options and how they work. I like bamboo because it breathes, but it doesn't last as long. So lots of people are more prone to the hemp, which is slightly coarser, but does have a slightly longer longevity than bamboo does.
Katie was asking then, which are the most absorbent?
Your bamboo and your hemp are going to be your most absorbent. If you've got a child that holds its bladder and lets go in one really epically, then you may need to actually use microfiber, because microfiber disperses very quickly and then lets it go. Okay, which is why it's rubbish at absorbing, but really good at dispersing it. Whereas, sorry, my son's just falling off my lap. Whereas your bamboo and your hemp suck it straight in, which they sometimes need a bit of help to disperse. So yeah. Brands, yes, this is exactly why I do not train with any particular body. So lots of nappy gurus are linked to a brand, and I've refused to do it because I don't want to have to say, oh, you have to have this nappy because no, this rubbish. They do fit slightly differently depending on fat legs, thin legs, fat tummy, thin tummy. Children come in all different sizes and they change sizes, which is not particularly helpful. So I would look at there's lots that's sold in supermarkets, and supermarkets will go for the ones that are a little bit cheaper to get on the shelves. So just be aware of that, because it isn't fully mainstream, and so they want something that's going to just quickly make them some money. Have a look on the nappy groups, have a chat. Like I say, Motheries is a huge one. Why is my laptop telling me I'm running out of battery when I'm plugged in? That is because you didn't plug it in, Jodie. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Oh, I plugged it into the wall, but not my laptop, so I don't know why it's not charging. So Motheries is huge, but that's the Canadian one that I mentioned. It is also the one that sells for 127 odd pounds. So they do have a big following and they've been around for a long time. If you're looking for something in the UK, you want to look at oh my gosh, the brand name's completely gone out of my head. Sorry, I've completely blanked of what they're called. Totspots, sorry, come back to me. Totspots are manufactured and they are the company is in the UK, so that's a good option. If you're looking for that, they aren't as close for very skinny or very fat legs. They fit middle child, middle of the range child, for want of a better word. For very small children, the close parent Kaboo is very popular, which was the one that I dropped on the floor, but it's this one here. This is made in the UK. Fantastic customer service, got to give it to them. They are on it. Any problems, they do sort it out. So they're very good for that. But there's lots of in between, and there's lots of small ones. You can imagine the most of them are quite small businesses, but the more we invest, the more they can get out and the more they can get their price down. Bum Genius, they were massive about 6 years ago. They've died a little bit off and been eaten up by motheries, but it really depends on your child. I would hire and see what works for you, just because it'll be better than buying and then finding out it doesn't work for you. Sorry.
So then, Jodie, just maybe Sally and Richard have asked, what age and weight would you start using disposable nappies?
Disposable or reusable?
That's the question. So I'm wondering, I'm just wondering whether Sally and Richard think that you go from reusable. There we go. Sally or Richard has corrected it. At what age, weight would you start using reusable nappies?
Any. We've supported a family very recently who had a premature baby, and we bought in especially for them, and we had very little. They are the cutest things you've ever seen. They're teeny tinies. So from teeny tiny all the way up to adults, you can get.
Sorry, so Penelope's come in, I think, with the nuts and bolts question, which is a very good one near the end of the session. Is okay. So how do people engage with the library? How do you get started? What do they do? What are the nuts and bolts? If they're local, how do they contact you, and how does it all work?
Fab. So you will find that I have lots of Facebook pages. So there's High Wycombe Library, there's Hazlemere Library. There, I do that so that you can find me. So if you pop it on and Google it, High Wycombe Nappy Library or High Wycombe Sling and Nappy Library, I will pop up. Okay, so that's very, very easy. We are on the Bucks County Council website. Unfortunately, if you phone up the receptionist, they probably don't have a clue I exist because they're quite big, and communication is getting there. But we are around. If you post on any Facebook group locally, I will get tagged in it within a few minutes. So engage with me however you want to. Ed, I'll pass on my details, and welcome to. Hold on, let me just.
Let's just say I did engage with you. So I find you and I say, I'd like to get going. What are our steps, costs, timings for doing it?
Right, so you've now got my phone number. You can WhatsApp me, text me, phone me. If you phone me, there's a possibility there will be a child screaming in the background. So message me is probably quicker. Once you've contacted me, what I'll do is redirect you to our online software. So I do pay for this software. It isn't perfect, but it helps me keep track of where everybody is. All you need to do is enter your details, and this also protects me and is why I don't have to take deposits, because if I have all your personal details, if you disappear with my products, I can take you to small claims court. So I don't take I won't take a deposit anymore. I used to, £50. Now so far I haven't had to do it, so let's keep it that way. Once I have all your details, just drop me a message, say hi, when can I collect? I live in Stokenchurch. We do also have Leanne, who is in Aylesbury, so we're kind of two ends of it. If you really, really can't get to us, then we will sort out you collecting from one of our volunteers. However, this will be on a very specific day and a very specific time, because I have access to a drop box, which is in my front porch, and I have a front porch, so I can be very open to what time and days, and you can be very loose, which is very helpful when you've got a newborn who decides they're going to need boob for 10 hours before you're about to come. So we do have that available to you. You collect, it is £3 a week for the most people use that set. So we have 3 variations of the set. We have one which has all the new variants, which is what you'll find in the stores at the moment. We have another set which is that old versions, because they are improving all the time, so they have older versions, and they will be the ones you'll see more secondhand. And then we have the emergency kits, which are the ones we created in March to meet the needs of the panic buying, and which are £2, so between £3 and £2 a week, so cheaper than you're going to spend on your disposables. And in there you have everything you need to cloth. They do have cloth wipes in there as well. So yeah, you're pretty much covered, and the sets are mixed types and brands, so that you can really get to feel what works for your family. I could give you a whole box of the one thing, but what happens if you get home and that one thing doesn't work? And also I think you can get really stuck in brands if you're not careful, and so having something going, oh, do you know what, I thought this was a bit rubbish, but I'll try it. Oh, actually, and then you can kind of open up as well and have a play. The sets are all slightly different, and this comes down to stock levels. When we buy them, we do buy them at different times, because I don't have a horrendous amount of money to buy the whole lot in one go. So it will depend on what the retailer had in stock to a degree as well. Yes, so we'll make it.
Had a question from Margaret, who's actually not from our area. Do nappy libraries exist everywhere? How would she find one if she's not from this area?
Yeah, so you want to go on to the Nappy Network, Cloth Nappy Network. And they will be able to help you. Yes, we are all over the place. And in fact, the Nappy Lady does postal as well. So if you don't want to come out to me, then you can do postal options as well. I don't know the pricing for that. I don't offer postal because I'm not set up to do postal. I'm not insured to do postal, and I'm not organised to get to the post office with 2 children. So I will let someone who's all set up do it for me.
Penelope has asked how many people are borrowing nappies at any one time. I mean, what's the scope of what's happening in Wickham or Hazlemere?
Do you know, I don't actually know how many we've got out. I don't have many in my garage. To be honest, I couldn't tell you how many sets we've got anymore, because as soon as they come in, they go out. I'm not sure at the moment.
If I could just ask another quick question, just as we're coming to the end. Is there anything set up to help disadvantaged families in Buckinghamshire or in Wickham? I mean, if you get, for example, Saunderton Lodge, lots and lots of kids going into Saunderton Lodge. Is there any way of supporting them with supplies? Did Buckinghamshire Council do anything?
We have offered a number of times. The problem is there's the stigma behind nappies, and people don't quite understand what I'm talking about. And so when I say, oh, we're cloth nappies, we hire nappies, I go, oh, we don't do second-hand nappies. And it's like, right, not quite, it's not what you're thinking. It's not stained bits of terry toweling that you're going to wrap in a bit of plastic. It's, so it's a little bit of work done there. We do get referrals from Women's Refuge, and there's a couple of others that will refer you. To be honest, if you approach any of these people and say any of the groups that are supporting, so Saunderton Lodge, One Can Trust, any of these, if you say, can you message them and ask if they can help, we will say yes. Okay, I'm more than happy to do it with the referral. Unfortunately, I do need to have some sort of, or even your GP, I'm happy to do as well. Thank you.
And can you get funding for it when you do that?
We just won't charge you. We won't charge you for it.
I know, but I mean, when you say you won't charge, is that you paying for it, or is the Buckinghamshire Council giving you the supplies for it?
It will be, it'll probably be coming from a mixture, really. To be honest, for a long term, it'll probably come from the donations that we've had in the library. So we do have donations come through, and we just ask people to just check in with us every month. So we know that they're getting used and not getting left in the bottom of someone's airing cupboard. So that's really, really important. Unfortunately, that is why lots of people ask about the funding that the councils do in some areas. Now, the reason we don't have it here is because the
Jodie, we've got about another 15 seconds if you want to wrap up.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, we're around. Ask me any questions. Anything I haven't covered. You got my telephone number. Drop me a message. More than happy to answer any question. Sorry, I can talk too much.
No, it's brilliant. Jodie, that's absolutely wonderful. I mean, you had some pretty good questions and you fielded them all brilliantly. So, and it sounds like you're doing a job which is going to qualify you for sainthood, actually, considering the way you're doing it. So you're doing brilliantly well. Well done. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for doing a talk. I hope that people do get in touch. And when we get to organising a thing library, we'll have to come to you for some help and coordination with that as well.
Well, I've got my closed library I'm trying to open, so if you have anyone who wants to volunteer.
Well, keep in touch. And also on the community board, there's now been formed a climate change group. So this is going to be looked at more widely in the area. So, and just then, thank you ever so much, everybody, for joining us. And please do, if you want to help out with any of the environmental or climate change projects in Hazlemere, please get in touch. I put my email in there. And also, please do think about any teenagers or students you can recommend to come to our meeting on Wednesday, because we'd like to get their views on what they'd like to do for the environment and climate locally. And everyone's stuck at home at the moment. It's an ideal time for them to come to a Zoom meeting, get off Fortnite or whatever it is they happen to be playing, or social media, and come and join us on Zoom for a bit. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Jodie. Absolutely wonderful. And thanks to your kids for their star appearances.
Albert's asleep.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Famous, you two.